Hey guys, what's going on? Nintendo Fanatic here, and today is my first ever Q&A. These were questions submitted to me by you guys, either through Instagram or YouTube, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. So without further ado, let's do this. Right, so question number one. What is my real name? My real name is actually Jason Copping, full name Jason Andrew Copping, that's Jason, middle name Andrew, Andrew, last name Copping, Copping, often pronounced coping, especially when I was at school. Bastards. So, question number two, how old am I? In brackets, in dog years, if you want. I'm 23 years old. 23. If I were a dog, I would probably be put down by now. Right, question number three. What is your favourite game and games console of all time? That would be Lego Batman 2 for the PlayStation 3. Unfortunately, it was a digital copy of the game that I have, so I don't have a physical, tangible copy to show you guys. So I decided that I would show you some other games that came a close second and third. The Pokemon RPG series X, Y, and Alpha Sapphire. I would like to get Omega Ruby and have the full set of RPGs. But they're some of the most fun you can have. I just really wish the 3DS's battery life didn't suck. I mean, you can keep it on charge, but that's not the point. And for the Nintendo Wii, funnily enough, Sonic Colors. Probably one of the most fun games, because after Sonic 06 I got really turned off by Sonic. I was just like, how the hell can they do that? It just was horrible. So, getting back into Sonic was kind of interesting. One of my friends suggested, hey man, try Sonic Colors, you know, you've got a Nintendo Wii, try it. And I don't regret it. It was a light-hearted, fun action platformer. It brought Sonic back to a former glory. I felt the new power-ups weren't a hindrance to the gameplay. The fact that, you know, the soundtrack was awesome and the characters that were there was pretty awesome. Right, that question, as you know, was a two-parter. So, what's my favourite console? The Nintendo 64. It's a classic. I've always loved cartridge systems. I always had a thing about retro cartridge systems. And plus, this one has a story behind it. All my other consoles that I own pertaining to the games were bought either online or in store. This actually has a story behind it, and I'm going to share with you guys because it was a console that binded a friendship, and I genuinely mean that. You know who you are if you're watching this, you know, but when this person was still living here, around the area, he actually scouted this console for me, and we went to this random house and we bought it. I was wearing green. I remember that I was dressed as like a Luigi stunt double or something. And walked in and, you know, paid the woman the money. You know, she was selling it for whatever reason. I think she didn't want it anymore. And that's it. And it was a console that, you know, there was a purpose for actually going to get it, because I had to actually get on a train to get it. It wasn't like, oh, just go down the road and there's this woman that lives on the street that'll get it for you. No, it was actually a console that binded friendship, and I genuinely mean that. And actually a pretty kick-ass game that's in there is WWF No Mercy for the Nintendo 64. One of my favourite N64 games happens to be the last game I was playing by THQ, which I think went out of business not too long ago, or they were bought out by 2K Sports. Right, so next question. Where are you from, and what country is your favourite? Or what is your favourite country? Sorry. I live in the UK, which is funny because a lot of people outside of the UK think that the UK is like Downton Abbey, that's how English people are all the time. Like, pip pip, don't talk with your mouth full, doodly doo, where's the servant? You know, and it might have been like that over 100 years ago, but we're not too dissimilar to other countries now. And my favourite country has to be Canada. Didn't really have to think about that much, even though you might have thought I did. Canada, you know, growing up watching wrestling, Canadian wrestlers, the Hart family, Edge and Christian, even independent wrestlers like P. Williams and stuff like that, were just amazing kick-ass performers. I don't know if it's their upbringing, the cold weather, the nice behaviour, the politeness, plus a fellow YouTuber friend of mine, Pokemon Center, is from there, so, or he lives there, which is pretty cool. Not too dissimilar in a lot of ways, Canada and the UK. You know, I think the Queen visits both places. I think she owns the world. Favourite songs? One of my favourite bands growing up was Nirvana. as I'm sure a lot of kids in the 90s that grew up, you know, or even before that genre that just happened to like the grunge scene in general. Like it was, to me, it was kind of an understanding of you can hate me all you want, you know, I don't care, or you know, you can't hate me as much as I hate myself. Kurt Cobain, I thought was, you know, he was completely different as a performer, as a musician, as a writer. You know, it was a shame what happened. You know, you don't want to go into the controversy or the reasons why. Just some of the songs, and I know everyone goes to the well once too often with like "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and that is a good song. But some of my favorite songs were stuff like "Polly," "Dumb," "Something in the Way." You know, songs that weren't really mentioned as much. You know, well, "Polly" more so. I mean, "Lithium's" a pretty good song as well. But yeah, I've always liked that band. They were a different sound at the time. You know, Dave Grohl from the band Foo Fighters, you know, he was a member of that band originally, went on to do amazing things, so that band definitely had prodigies, it definitely had a lot of respect. So yeah, if I had to say my favourite songs, it would probably be the ones I've just suggested from Nirvana. Right, next question. YouTube goals. Another pretty good question. Well, that's why I picked them. They're all good questions, I just picked 10 because I got enough, the first 10 questions almost I got, subjectified them and put them in. At first it was kind of just as fun, but I'd like to, as I mentioned in one of my videos, my thank you video I did, you know, the fact that people subscribe to me and, you know, watch some of my content, you know, is still astounding to me, and I don't ever want to lose that feeling of excitement and I guess that kind of modesty that comes with it, you know, that brogue, I guess. And I hope that, you know, people do enjoy my videos, and I will continue to make them, of course. My goal, I guess, is to kind of just people to enjoy what they see, you know. I'm somewhat entertaining, I'd like to think, you know. I have a nervous laughter almost every time I say something. It's like, hey! You know, you're trying to be quiet and there's just someone in the back going, hey! It's like, hey, throw him out. So, next question. Do you enjoy playing video games at home, with friends, or online? Good question. I suppose a multitude of all three. Less so online because I'm not really an online gamer. Partly because of my internet is kind of crap at times. So I keep getting cut out, or it takes too long to sign out and then there's a DNS or a server error or something. Playing on your own is fun sometimes if you just want to be... That sounded that sounded wrong. So do you play with yourself? It's like if the mood is right, who knows? I apologise. That was crude of me. I suppose playing video games with friends, I guess, is always fun because when you have that kinship, that connectivity, that networking where you're playing, you know, a game. For example, a couple of weeks ago I was playing Super Mario 3D World with one of my friends on the Nintendo Wii U, and we had a kick-ass time. We just killed like 4 or 5 hours like in a session without realising how quick that was. I played as Luigi because Luigi's my favourite. He played as Mario and as Princess Peach. And Toad's like, Favourite Mega Evolution? Mega Aggron. Next question. What was your first video game system? The Super Nintendo. As I said, growing up in the 90s, it was my first ever console. I missed out on the NES era, which I kind of regret in a way. The first game was Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. Was the first video game I ever played. Along with a game called Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. If any of you have played it, please let me know, because it's a rarity to find anyone who's heard of that game. It's not the most common of games. It's not impossible to find, you know, it was made for the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo as well. And I think the Jaguar as well, the Atari. Was it the Atari Jaguar? I'm not too familiar with the Atari systems, I'm sorry. Especially with the older systems going back traversing to the 70s and the early 80s. But yeah, the Super Nintendo was my first ever console, and 2 years ago I actually bought another Super Nintendo, like, to replace the original one, which broke a few years after we had it, so around about 94, 95 when it broke. If that, it might have been a bit later, I can't remember the exact years, but around that time. Definitely during the mid-90s, and then we got I got the new Super Nintendo about 2 years ago, and I re-got my entire library of games for it. Took a bit of time to get, but yeah, games like Star Fox. Star Fox was awesome. Star Fox, Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World. Yeah, one of JRC Gaming's favourite games as well. traversing through that. And yeah, as I said, Zol Ninja of the Nth Dimension. There were quite a few more, but I can't really remember them offhand. Stay away from Bubsy. No, Bubsy is the spawn of Satan. And the final question, who is your favourite YouTuber / YouTubers? That's a tough question, actually, because I have a series of YouTubers that I like. I don't have one favourite. I like most people on YouTube, you know. Alpha Omega Sin, if you've heard of him, you know, he's like a really cool nerdy metalhead that rages in the camera, and it's really cool to see that, you know, someone getting passionate about gaming again. Markiplier, as if you've watched my Pokemon Primal Clash booster box opening, you'll know towards the end I accidentally repeated his sign-off line. And I felt really bad because I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have said that. But sometimes when you panic, you just think of a sign-off line. I remember this one, I was watching it earlier. Maryland, I was one of the first people on YouTube I had watched. He does like Pokemon walkthroughs and stuff, and mainly Pokemon stuff, but he does alternate stuff. His icon is a Marill in a tuxedo, which is just really awesome. It's like, it's a Marill in a tuxedo. You don't see that often. And a few of my favourites, like that I've got to know personally, like JRC Gaming, Pokemon Center. There's a few other channels as well. iMugs HD, you know, people that, you know, when I first started this channel, you know, kind of were interacting with me to some extent. They were asking me questions on Instagram, or they were friends with me. They befriended me, like subbed me on YouTube and stuff. So a special place, yeah, my heart's on that side. I'm like, I'm no doctor, can you tell? So a special place in my heart goes out to those guys, and yeah, so I think those are some of my favourite YouTubers. Most people I watch, really, you know, all you guys. All you sexy beasts. Okay guys, that was my top 10 questions for my Q&A. I hope you enjoyed it, watching it as much as I enjoyed recording it. I did have a few technical problems, which will be edited out. Or I could leave them in, I don't know. My cat was meowing to go out and stuff, and it just really interferes with the recording. Because this is kind of a one-person operation, you know, I record, I edit, I do everything myself, basically. It's one of the reasons I'm still alone. No, I'm just kidding. My mental disposition is okay, the psychiatrist said I was cool. But yeah, but yeah, I had a blast recording this. I hope you enjoy the questions. You know, thank you to everyone who submitted questions. Thank you to everyone who wanted me to, you know, ask these questions. And, you know, some of them were, you know, kind of obvious questions that I kind of saw, you know, like, how old are you, what's your name? You know, stuff about gaming and Pokemon in general I thought might cover it. But it's nice to know that, you know, you have that interaction. That's exactly what I wanted for my channel. And I kind of have it now, so thank you. And until the next video, I will see you next time.